Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily, the first English news program in Poland. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. Magdalena Ogórek, TVP journalist and host of several TV programs, was attacked by a group of protesters who blocked her car, shouting profanity and attempting to stick pieces of paper on a vehicle as she was leaving the station on Saturday this evening after hosting a TV show.
Interior Minister Joachim Brudziński informed that he has requested information from the Warsaw Chief of Police, while officers failed to react properly. In the wake of the incident, head of the National Media Council Krzysztof Czabański asked PM Mateusz Morawiecki to assure security for public media staff. The physical attack has been strongly condemned by politicians from both the ruling Law and Justice and all opposition parties. Former actress and one-time presidential candidate Magdalena Ogórek is a host for public television's news channel TVP Info.
The former president of the city of Słupsk, Robert Biedroń, has announced that he's forming his own political party called Wiosna, or Spring. Biedroń was the first openly homosexual Polish mayor who gathered significant support among the citizens of Słupsk. Today, Biedroń began his political campaign in Warsaw, meeting with Poles from the capital before leaving for a tour across the country. His new party aims to be a liberal left-wing alternative to the two main parties, the current ruling conservative center Law and Justice and the opposition liberal-centered Civic Platform.
Crowds of Biedroń's supporters showed up at the party convention in Warsaw.
Dlaczego Robert Biedroń?
Why Robert Biedroń? Because he has proven with his actions and politics that he can be trusted. The convention slogan was "A New Chapter." The meeting was inaugurated by the party leader giving a speech. The last few years were dark and depressing. We've been witnessing a conflict after a conflict and political parties fighting for their own interests instead of common good. We need a spring which will renew this sad landscape. Hence the name of the party, Spring. During the convention, Biedroń presented the first draft of his party's program under the slogan Umowa Biedronia, or Biedroń's Agreement, members of the party's board and experts which created the program. The Republic of Poland is the commonwealth of all of its citizens, all citizens without exceptions. Among the main postulates of the Spring Party are abortion rights up to 12 weeks of pregnancy, shutting down coal mines and stopping coal mining until the year 2035, wider sexual education in schools, refunds for means of anti-conception and in vitro, abolishing the conscience clause and putting taxes on Catholic Church collection boxes. We'll do something that no government before us has ever done. We'll finally abolish the conscience clause. No more. Robert Biedroń gives hope, positive emotions, he's open-minded. He gives promise of fulfilling the unanswered needs of many Poles who want something new. I think that many political parties are looking at him now and see new quality. He's open for those who haven't voted on anyone yet because they felt like no one represented their needs. I'm glad that Robert has such a socially open program because it will allow us to reach many social groups. We will keep our promises. Tomorrow the new party leader will go on a tour across the country. He will visit 13 biggest cities in Poland, presenting the Springs program. We're off to Łódź, Zielona Góra and then other cities to tell our political tale. According to the latest opinion poll conducted by the Ibris pollster on the request of Onet.pl news website, Robert Biedroń's party would finish third in the upcoming European Parliament elections, staying behind the Law and Justice and the Civic Platform parties with a score of 6.5%.
The recent attack on the TVP reporter Magdalena Ogórek is part of a series of similar events that took place in recent years. The targets of the attacks and verbal aggression were often journalists of state-owned public television and stations that failed to align with the opposition party. Plazas and public spaces of Venezuela were occupied by protests and rallies this Saturday. People across Latin America organized in mutual opposition of President Nicolas Maduro in an effort to force the president out of power and bring humanitarian aid into the South American country.
Thousands of Venezuelans hit the street in solidarity with protests organized by the political opposition of Nicolas Maduro, while voicing their support for the opposition leader and self-declared interim president Juan Guaido. Public spaces were occupied where protesters can be seen waving Venezuelan flags and signs reading "President Guaido, no more dictatorship" and "Far away but not absent." The rallies in the capital coincided with many others held within the country on Saturday. Domestic and international pressure on Maduro to step down piles on, as a senior Air Force general disavowed him in a video that circulated earlier on Saturday, expressing his allegiance to Guaido, which significantly impacted Maduro's foothold. Military support plays an important role for Maduro's governance, as the dictator grew increasingly unpopular by the day due to an unprecedented economic crisis as an aftermath of his economic policies and corruption that prompted an exodus of millions. Maduro declared himself a victim of a coup directed by the United States.
That's it for today. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily.
Welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's see the forecast for tonight. In most regions, skies will be overcast. The temperatures ranging from 0 in Olsztyn, Wrocław and Zielona Góra to 6 in Rzeszów. Snowfall is expected in Wrocław and Zielona Góra. Let's see the forecast for tomorrow. Snow will appear around Katowice, Łódź, Bydgoszcz, Olsztyn and Gdańsk. In other regions, we will accept more sun without snowfall. Temperatures range from 0 to 2 degrees. Let's check the weather for the next days. On Tuesday, pressure will grow up. We will see 3 degrees in the southeast. On Wednesday, snow is expected in the northwest and in central Poland. In other regions, a lot of sun will appear. On Thursday, temperatures will increase to 4 degrees along the Baltic coast and in Podkarpacie. Thank you for watching and see you soon.
Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight our guest is Kamil Gancarz of Blockchain Development Foundation. Sir, welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Talking for a while about the blockchain. What is blockchain? How is being used? But let us go specific to the Polish case and where we are in this invisible race to digitalize money.
2019 created new scope of legal system, especially to tax. So we have new laws according to how the cryptocurrency gains are taxed. So it used to be back in 2018 and earlier that the Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies were treated like asset, like legal asset. So it was taxed based on two-step taxing.
Wartości niematerialne i prawne, tak?
Prawa majątkowe.
Okay, that's legal assets. That's correct.
Yes. So it was taxed 18% and 32 over 85,000 Polish zloty. So nowadays it's treated like a capital gain, which is way better because it's taxed 19% flat. No other
additional charges,
surplus if you exceed some certain amount. You can deduct also your losses, but only based on cryptocurrency trading. So it doesn't add up to your stock exchange profits, to gains from bonds and shares and other financial instruments, but it's calculated separately, but you pay tax on based on your profits, which is quite neat.
That the market has been civilized here in Poland?
Much more. However, we have a lot to do also because we need to encourage banks to be more keen to accept blockchain companies. Last year, there was a quite big exodus of Polish companies outside of Poland because of the problems with banks. They have quite a big problems to have their banks operating, to have operational banks
The
account.
companies that started mining in Poland, like way in 2010, decided to migrate their operations to Malta or
Yes.
other countries.
Yes,
Are they
Estonia.
considering to return to the country?
Not yet. We need to see more good regulation and much more help from the government. I
Okay.
see that we should more focus on blockchain because it's.
So we have a technology that says we don't need really regulators because we are regulating by the mathematical formula.
Yes.
We can mine those money back in our home computer, so to speak. But the people who are doing that, making business, are going to the government, say, help us, we need your help in order to do more of that. Why government should take care?
I mean, the government which will be handling Bitcoin in blockchain technology in the right manner will win this new industrial revolution because it is new industrial revolution. Let's see the Switzerland or Dubai. Recently, Dubai is saying that till 2020 they want to be totally blockchain-based city with all services based on blockchain. So we need to really focus on that subject. So I'm saying that government should help us in the way that they're creating good environment and good laws, and especially relating with the anti-money laundering compliance laws, and also allowing the banks to be more eager to work with blockchain companies.
Do we have any examples of Polish bank introducing blockchain?
Yes, we have. We have PKO BP, the biggest Polish bank, owned also partially by state, and they introduced blockchain technology as a ledger for regulation of their financial products, and there is a way now that they can distribute new regulation or change regulation to the clients, to over, I think, 5 million clients via blockchain technology. So it's one of the biggest implementation in Central Eastern Europe of blockchain technology into the bank.
Yeah,
so
well,
that's Polish.
You mentioned Switzerland and Dubai. There is definitely a race of the companies to introduce that, the countries to pursue this new technology. Where in this spectra is Poland?
I think Poland is quite far compared to Switzerland. Especially this year, it's better than last year. But we were really little bit against the cryptocurrencies for a few years. So now we need to show support. That's
what kind of support would you consider to be essential?
Very good regulation that will help companies to have stable system, legal system, to operate, to legally act, to have some access to regulation, but by Polish Supervisory Commission on Financial Markets, KNF, Komisja Nadzoru Finansowego. If we have that, that would be much easier, because we are not saying that we don't want to be regulated. We are saying that we want to have clear legal requirements to be regulated.
If you talk to the National Financial Advisory or Komisja Nadzoru Finansowego, do you feel that you talk to the person who knows the issue, who knows what it's needed, and understand how crucial this part of the economy is?
I think they don't fully recognize how crucial the technology is. They know the subject, definitely, they know the subject, but I think that there is some sort of fear. Yeah, that's a good word for that. There is some sort of fear, and we don't want to be fully innovative. We want to see how other countries handle the matter, handle the problem of blockchain. and then we want to introduce a similar regulation. I think we should be much more innovative in terms of regulatory.
Just give us the example of the regulation that you would like to introduce. Should it be your responsibility now?
Okay. In Switzerland, we have regulatory sandbox. Of course, also we have in Poland that system, but it's constructed in a different way. For instance, if we receive the money or funds using blockchain technology in Switzerland, you have 60 days to comply with the requirements of Financial Supervisory Authority there, FINMA. In Poland, that would be legal offense if we accept funds not to be comply with Polish securities acts and laws. So I would create the system where there is some limit of funds where you can do that without the license, providing that you are not doing criminal offense or like a Ponzi scheme, a financial pyramid, this sort of subject. But if you are honest person, honest company doing a normal job, there should be some limit where you are off the regulatory grid.
But because sooner or later, if you're running a company, this amount of monies that you have in blockchain technology will appear in your reports. So
yes,
the state does not have to put hand on everything that you have on your computer.
That's correct. And if you grow, I mean, if you are a blockchain company acquiring funds, like doing ICO, which is initial coin offering, using that system, you can actually gather funds, not going to stock market, not doing IPO, ICO, similar terms, but the ICO is using blockchain technology. So there should be some limit that there is fully legal to do ICO, but if you exceed some limit, then you go to Polish Supervisory Authority on Financial Markets and ask for the regulation. For the compliance. Of course, I'm not saying that companies shouldn't apply some AML rules straight away, just from starting point, but it should be some guidelines how to do the AML procedures without supervisory.
What an exciting topic to say, sir. Thank you very much for coming to the show. Kamil Gancarz of Blockchain Development Fund was our guest tonight. Our time's up, unfortunately, but the interest of this technology is jumps through the roof, I guess, and we will definitely follow that issue a little bit more once. And we'll look whether Polish government is appreciating the possibilities that this technology is giving to our economy. Sir, thank you very much for participating.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
That was it for Poland Daily Business.
Welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's see the forecast for tomorrow. Snow will appear around Katowice, Łódź, Bydgoszcz, Olsztyn and Gdańsk. In other regions we will accept more sun without snowfall. Temperatures range from 0 to 2 degrees. Let's see the forecast for our continent. In Northern and Eastern Europe we will accept snowfall. The lowest temperatures -4 degrees in Oslo. In Central Europe temperatures range about 2 to 6 degrees. The hottest capital city in Europe is Athens with 14 degrees. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Jakub Wocial, vocalist, musical actor, director of the Rampa Theatre musical stage. Between 2012 and 2014, he created and developed a series of musical concerts under the name Broadway Street, The Show, with the guest participation of the greatest stars of musical stages in Europe. He directed and performs in the musical Musica Love, included in the current repertoire of the Rampa Theatre. He also starred there in a performance of the musical Rent, which was a famous Broadway hit. Jakub is the originator and one of the main performers in Queen's hit show Rhapsodia with the Demon, and in the concert staging of Jesus Christ Superstar. For his performance as Jesus, he was awarded the Best Musical Vocalist of the Year 2018. Jakub also starred in the Rampa Theatre production of Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, based on the film by Pedro Almodovar. The latest production is equally ambitious. It's called Twist and Shout, based on hits by the Beatles. Jakub plays the role of Sergeant Pepper.
Hello and welcome to Poland Daily Culture. Today our guest is Jakub Wocial, who is a musical singer and actor as well as a creative director of the theatre Rampa in Warsaw. Hello Jakub, welcome.
Hello and thanks for having me.
You're a great example of someone who, you're a great example of how hard work pays off. You've been just awarded as the musical singer of the year of 2018, right? What does it feel like?
Really amazing. I was nominated 2 years ago, so I got nomination, then I got second nomination and I won it. Amazing, really amazing. Last year, 2018, was I can say again, a year of my life, beside all of those great things which happened so far. I got to play Jean Valjean in Les Miserables, which was like dream role. Next to Jesus Christ in my own production of this title, this big title, and then this award. It's something I will never forget, and I'm very thankful for. Yeah, I wish those things, for example, comparing to Germany, to the business I did in Germany, I wish those things would count much more in our business. Like you know, when you win some kind of award in Germany in a musical theater, you just don't need to audition anymore, because it means for the producers and for the creatives, like, you are worth it. You won the best whatever actor, musical actor, and it means we just want you, or you don't fit as a type to our production. But you don't need to make this whole audition process, which would take so much stress, so much energy away. Yeah, but I think those things are also the things which we are going, young generation, which we are going to change in Poland, and I think we should, because this business is very tough. People work in so many theaters, and they just have to know that people who are hiring them, they care about them, because it's in our hands. We need to pay it back to the people who are working and selling the shows, because at the end of the day, it's the cast which people are watching in the theater.
So you're saying that the two worlds, the art world in Germany and in Poland, is quite different.
It is. I mean, the whole paying system is different. The whole hiring system is different. You know, you have a big how do you say, stable situation when you get a contract in Germany, and you know that you've got 18 months of your employment time. You just can take it, live for the money. You work in the evening. You have rehearsals, of course. But you have this. You don't need to take any gigs in the city unless you want that and you find the time for that. But it's something completely different than here. People in Poland must really work hard to pay the credits, the things they take, and just to live good, because it's not easy, especially that Warsaw is a very, very expensive city to live. So you need to really work hard to do all of that.
Part of the interview. Jakub Wocial debuted on the professional stage in the year 2005 at the Roma Musical Theatre in Warsaw. He played the role of Herbert from the musical Dance of the Vampires, based on The Revenge of the Vampire Killers, a film by Roman Polanski. Until 2011, he performed in the German version of this show in the Theater des Westens in Berlin and in the Metronome Theater in Oberhausen. He also performed regularly in Rebecca at the Palladium Theater in Stuttgart. In 2006, he recorded the album Dance of the Vampires. 2 years later, it earned a platinum record. He also performed at the Podlasie Opera and in the Philharmonic in the musical The Phantom of the Opera. And in 2014, he directed the musical Beautiful Cellist on the stage of the Music Theatre in Katowice. That musical is based on the music of the popular band Skaldove.
I would like to ask you about your CD that you recorded. What can you tell us about it?
Oh man, that's the best thing. That's the next best thing, third thing in 2018, which I'm so thankful and happy for. I was working on the CD pretty long, but I never had time and energy to finish it. So I just decided it's going to be 2018, and I worked on that hard also, and with my friend from Germany who arranged this the CD, with my friends Maciej Pawlak, Karina Komendera, who's on the piano, and Paulina Janczak. We did record some songs. The rest are songs which I sang solo. Yes, and that was the first, as far as I know, that was the first musical CD, complete musical CD, which appeared on a Polish market, and I am happy that people buy it and they come to concerts and they ask, they post it, they Instagram it, they Facebook it with the cover of the CD that they listen it and that they enjoy it. That's why we are doing it for, and yeah, it was pretty important for me also, because I think that the CD is like kind of, it's this kind of thing which shows some level of your career, and this thing will never get better, because that's the CD which was produced and recorded in 2018, and whatever you do next is going to be 2020 or 2021, and you're going to sound different, you're going to sing different, you're going to be different in different life positions, so everything will be different. So I think that was really important also for me to close this level and to say, yeah, it's done. 2018 was the year of the CD Dream of Broadway, and yeah, and whatever will come next will come next.
Thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on Poland Daily Culture, and see you again tomorrow.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Poland Daily History. Today we are at the Warsaw Citadel, a structure built by the Russians in the 1830s and later on used as a prison for political dissidents and fighters of the January Uprising of 1863 to 1864. Some of the prisoners held here would later on become prominent figures in Polish politics, while others were executed or sent to Siberia after imprisonment. Today, we will talk to some of the experts about the specifics of the Citadel, the January Uprising, and more history about the era. Not everybody viewed the uprising favorably. And can you tell me who are the main figures that opposes the uprising?
Zdecydowanie największym przeciwnikiem idei czynu zbrojnego.
Without question, the biggest opponent to a Polish military uprising was Count Alexander Wielopolski. He was a conservative politician, a member of the loyalist camp, one of those who saw Poland's future with Russia. But Wielopolski shouldn't be mentioned in the same breath as traitors to the nation, because his biggest political plan was to return the autonomy lost after the November uprising defeat. Interestingly, Wielopolski himself in his younger years took part in the November Uprising. He was an agent for the Uprising in France, but when he was older, he very much turned against the idea of military conflict and the arming of people. He was affected by the so-called Galician slaughter in 1846, an uprising of the peasants in the region of Galicia in the Austrian partition, who murdered the Polish nobility, aristocracy and burned down their estates. The peasants saw this as their path to liberation, but Alexander Wielopolski found it revolting. He realized that such a bloody revolution could also occur in the part of Poland, which was partitioned by the Russian Empire. Wielopolski wanted to mitigate the risks and to opt for peace instead. He had a positive outlook and believed Poles should strengthen themselves culturally, strengthen themselves economically and strengthen their society. He certainly didn't think they should be taking part in military combat. It was Alexander Wielopolski's idea, which he wasn't personally involved in, but it was his idea to do a forced conscription, to take a tally of people between the ages of 16 and 30 and send the most hot-headed Poles to the eastern parts of the Russian Empire. His son, Zygmunt Wielopolski, also a loyalist politician, was directly in charge of putting together the list of surnames, as was the police chief of Warsaw, Sergiej Mukhanov.
Wysoki komisarz Sergiej Muchanow.
All right, so how did the uprising end for Wielopolski?
Wybuch powstania styczniowego Wielopolski przyjął z przerażeniem.
Wielopolski was horrified by the eruption of the January uprising, although at first he believed Russia would deal with it quite quickly. He even said the abscess has burst, but it will be stitched up again.
Bardzo szybko zaszyty. Niestety, kiedy okazało się inaczej, kiedy powstanie...
When that didn't happen, when the January uprising lasted 15 months, Wielopolski decided that you can't do anything with the Poles. He uttered words that people remembered. You can do everything for Poles, but nothing with Poles. This was the last creed of this man. He believed that he did everything to make things better for Poles, but in reality he wasn't a democrat. He believed he knew better and that he would be able to reach an agreement with the Tsar. In the end, he found himself revolted by politics. He left to Dresden in a part forced, part voluntary emigration. Why Dresden? Because the Wettin dynasty, who ruled in Dresden at the time before the unification of Germany in 1871, was always friendly to Poles. Presumably Wielopolski felt good there. He lived out his days in Dresden, never getting involved in the politics of the Kingdom of Poland again.
W Dreźnie zakończył swoje życie, już nigdy nie ingerując w żaden sposób w politykę Królestwa Polskiego.
Count Alexander Wielopolski is regarded as a traitor of the Polish independence movement by some Poles, especially for his role in suggesting an extended project of forced conscription of Poles into the Russian army. Others argue that he was actually a patriot and a proponent of the most efficient form of resistance. Dr. Krzysztof Jabłonka will tell us whether we have enough sources to decide which of the two arguments is closer to the truth. So one of the more prominent figures that are opposing the uprising is Alexander Wielopolski, and there are still debates going on to this day whether he should be regarded as a traitor or not in the Polish history. What is your opinion on this matter?
Aleksander hrabia Wielopolski uważany jest przez wielu badaczy.
Count Alexander Wielopolski is seen by many researchers, although not all, as a missed opportunity for Poles. They argue that the Poles could have behaved in a practical way, better understood the situation they were in, and reached an agreement with the Russians on how to co-create an empire. It should be remembered that Count Wielopolski's thinking was to have autonomy and in fact legal separation of Polish lands from Russia.
Autonomii, a właściwie prawnej odrębności ziem polskich od Rosji. Łączy nas imperium.
The empire connects the two, but the states must be separate. This is a return to the autonomy that made Poland a separate state after the 1815 Congress of Vienna, known as the Kingdom of Poland, well, in large quotations among Poles. Still, it would have enabled autonomous cultural development and economic development, which held great meaning because Russia was a gigantic market. Here, not only could the textile industry, dealing with wool from Central Asia and selling materials to China, develop, but all the other branches of industry, the metallurgic industry and others.
Środkowej i sprzedaż materiałów aż do Chin. Tu się mogły rozwinąć wszystkie możliwe w owym czasie gałęzie przemysłu, metalurgiczny przemysł, każdy inny. Problem jest w czym?
The problem was there was no guarantee Poland's loyalty would be reciprocated by Russia. Russia was a despotic nation, an absolutist nation. It meant that in any given moment the Tsar could change his mind and force Poles to be Russians, Russians in terms of being serfs to the Tsar. In Poland this was referred to as Czarosławie or Tsar worship, as it was contrasted with Prawosławie, meaning the Orthodox faith.
W Polsce nazywano to Carosławie, w odróżnieniu od prawosławia, czyli wyznania wschodniego chrześcijaństwa.
It can be pondered for a long time whether this path was wasted, whether the January Uprising, which halted the process, that ended loyalty to Russia and declared a spiritual war to be waged by the Poles against Russia. It was only a military war in the beginning, but from the moment the uprising erupted, no Pole had the right to collaborate with the Russians, to be in the army voluntarily. All ties were cut. Polish women didn't even look at the Russian soldiers, who tried to get their attention. Russian-Polish marriages were a rarity. This might only happen in distant parts of the Russian Empire, somewhere far from Poland. Perhaps the answers to these questions wouldn't have been known if not for the example of Finland, which was in a somewhat similar situation as Poland. Luckily for Finland, it is located in a remote area in the north of Europe. There, the Tsarist government, wanting to show Poles what they could have had if they were humble, loyal and willing to co-create the empire with Russia in the way Wielopolski wanted, gave the Finns great privileges.
Chcąc pokazać Polakom, co by mieli, gdyby byli pokorni, lojalni i właśnie
The Finnish counterpart of Wielopolski, who was named Stalberg, managed to negotiate language autonomy and also an autonomous Finnish army, even though not a particularly large one, but hussar regiments and regiments of the Finnish infantry were created in that area. So what happened? In the 20th century, the entire Finnish autonomy was dissolved.
i huzarów i pułki piechoty fińskiej.
The infamous General Bobrikov soon arrived, became the Governor-General of Finland and started the process of Russification against the Finns. Today it could be said it was for their own good, as it meant that the Finnish army was disbanded and around 20,000 former members of the military were simply dispersed.
Nawet nie na emeryturę, po prostu z pracy.
These former members of the military, hiding out in the forest and countryside across Finland, raised the next generation of patriots, which was able to regain independence as soon as it was possible for Finland to do so in 1917.
Czyli w 1917 roku.
The January Uprising was one of the most pivotal moments in the era when Poland was partitioned. The Poles would later on spend decades debating whether or not they had taken the correct path of resistance. During the interwar era, the veterans were treated as heroes, and they would later on serve as an inspiration for the soldiers fighting in the 1944 Warsaw Uprising. That's it for today. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
Hello, and welcome to Poland Daily Travel. In this and the next few shows, we're continuing to go behind the scenes in Warsaw. We'll be looking at stories of the reconstruction of the city after World War II. In 1945, Warsaw lay 85% destroyed. It had been known as the Paris of the East because of its Baroque beauty. Its once famous elegance can still be found by those who look beneath the surface, and that's just what we're going to do with our guide, Wojtek Młotkowski, from Warsaw Behind the Scenes. So stay with us as we explore the rebuilding of Warsaw. Stay tuned to Poland Daily Travel. And if you like what you see, catch us on YouTube.
That place here. It's like the definition of urban farming, isn't it? Well, it's not too urban in here, but yeah, it's in the middle of a nearly 2 million people city. Just take a look, somebody has planted black currants in here. Ribes nigrum. I didn't even know they are called like that in Latin, but it's just good food for us. You know, we love the black currants very, very much. And I'm not sure what is underneath me here, but it must be something. It is covered with some paper in here. So it's all for a purpose. And over here there are some other plants covered with green needles, yes?
Green,
is this, which is pine trees? No, it's not pine tree.
Cedar boughs.
Oh, no,
It's
cedar.
not cedar? What
In
is
this
it?
country it would be
Fir.
not the spruce, because the spruce will be this, but fir, yes.
Fir tree, yeah,
Fir
of some
tree.
kind. Yeah.
And what is underneath that? I don't know, because I'm not a professional
It looks
gardener.
like a compost heap, yeah?
I don't think so. I think this is more than that, because I think that compost is over there. But if somebody knows what is covered with this type of branches for
then
winter,
you have to write in.
yeah, write it in the comments, yes, because
Write it in the comments on YouTube.
there are certain limits to my knowledge. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm not that professional. Maybe I will grow professional in the time that I grow older and wiser. Yeah, so
My
that's,
green thumb is frozen. In English, when you have a green thumb, it means you're good at growing things.
Oh yeah,
But my green thumb is frozen today.
and my green thumb has not grown yet,
No, it hasn't grown.
because yeah,
You're not
it
good
comes
at
with
it.
50. About it
You're
comes with
not,
50.
you're not good yet. There you go. You're not good at it yet. I'll
Not
tell
yet,
you.
not yet, but I will work on it.
It will
sooner or
come
later.
to you. It will come to you. Yeah.
So yes, we have also.
But this is a whole.
Much more of
this
that,
is
much
the
more of that here.
garden, right?
Yeah, it's a
Well, let's walk over
public
here.
social garden.
Yeah.
Let's see what they have here. It's all open to us, so we are allowed to come in here. And the gate was open too, and it's written. In
I guess
most
we can
places you
come in. Yeah.
Yeah. It's exactly like it was intended in the years in which this was built.
Right.
You know, like 45. But back at this time, they were more into onions and carrots than into fancy style plants, yes?
Yeah.
and cabbage. And cabbage, you know.
A lot of cabbage.
First of
yeah.
all, they do cabbage.
Cabbage
and they
and
use sour
kielbasa.
cabbage, yeah.
Keep you alive in the
Yeah.
cold, in the long winters, right?
And vitamin C for the cabbage.
Yeah.
What is that? Oh, small seeds of different things. Put them back.
But this would be a very
Idyllic, isn't it, in summer? Absolutely
green garden in the summer.
Yeah.
Full of all kinds of wonderful.
I assume vegetables in this case.
I would think vegetables and fruits, as we saw over there. Yeah.
And I think there's an oven here for
Yep.
pizza or for whatever, for
Maybe
barbecue.
bread.
In Poland, for kielbasa. Every
think
oven
they're-
would be good for
they got
some kielbasas, isn't it?
So that's for kielbasa, you
Yeah,
think?
that's- or for smoking something, but it looks quite artificial, isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks quite
Nice.
old-fashioned.
And here on a beautiful summer afternoon, you would just sit
And do nothing.
and do nothing. Maybe watch somebody cooking kielbasa.
You
Yeah.
would just be here.
Have your favorite drink, whatever it might be. Yeah.
For instance,
enjoy
oranżada.
yourself. Yeah. Fantastic.
So one of the houses looks like not yet in full use, isn't it? That would be ideal to restore it, to make it perfect again, and to live in here.
I would love to. Do you think it's not in use?
I think it is not in use because it's boarded up by now.
How do we get it?
That's a good question.
Should we get it, Wojtek?
You need to find
Let's start a
reasons to make a
society.
public society.
We have
Yes.
to let's start a Warsaw behind-the-scenes society.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
discovering the story of Warsaw in a different way. And
Yeah.
here we have another small place, which is quite nice. I can touch it because every animal that is in here will be asleep right now. That's a hotel for insects, yes? Different ones.
Insect hotel.
So you get a lot of holes in here and some straw and some other stuff that I don't want to touch because, you know, there's something that might bite me sooner or later.
Great stuff. I really like it here. This is incredible. I feel like I'm in the countryside.
Yeah, that's-
suddenly. Don't you?
Yeah, and people feel safe here, you know, they put out their bikes, they know that nobody will steal
here
them.
they've left. These people have left their bikes outside, haven't they? Well,
We also
there you
have
are.
some more settlements for our smaller brothers and sisters in here.
Look at the beautiful sky.
Yeah, and all those ribbons, all those small flags here.
What a wonderful evening.
Yeah, we got the colors
beautiful.
first time this day, isn't it? Like,
Come on, let's go this way. Yeah.
this way? Okay.
Yeah.
I could wander here for hours.
Yeah, we could wander around.
Oh, look at that. It's so
Forever.
romantic, isn't it?
Yeah.
With these beautiful plants in here, which look a little bit like southern plants.
Great stuff.
When you take a look up here, you will see some of the old barbed wire
Ah, this is
that
the
we can
barbed
see
wire
here.
from
Yes,
before, yeah.
that's from before.
Yeah.
It served in the times of World War II. Here you have a little bit of that paint or rendering from the time.
Right.
In these places, you can see that some missing bricks were filled up later. But in general, that's a very original
This is the original
construction.
place where the wall
Absolutely.
was.
That's the original place in which the wall was.
Yeah.
But then people found this wall so special and so precious. And
So
why?
precious because of what had
Because of its
taken
history,
place here. Yeah.
Of its history,
Yeah.
that they have saved a part of the wall by disassembling it and by putting the bricks together with a new
Right.
mortar,
Uh-huh.
and they put it across this yard.
How many houses are here in this
That's a very good question. Once, there were 90 houses put out here, and a very good Polish architect, Jan Bogusławski, one that was later famous for rebuilding the town too, has arranged them in a special way, more or less circular, with plots of land in between these houses, in which plots one could plant vegetables. Yeah, because it's always good to have a garden and to plant some vegetables, especially for the tough days. So these guys have put it up and have arranged.
It's hard to grow vegetables in your living room. You need,
Yeah.
you need a garden. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have arranged it
Yeah.
with good gardens, with a little bit of space between the places, with a central street, and immediately with water. That was so important, yes. And with electricity, that was also quite important.
So the idea was,
But without proper bathrooms,
They had no bathrooms, yeah,
They had
because
no
you were
bathrooms.
telling me before.
They had taps
something
of
about that.
water,
Yeah.
normal standard taps of water, but not enough, yes? So to have a proper bath, you could boil a lot of water on a coal stove, yes? And you could put this water into a, how do you call it even? We are
A tub?
Into a tub, yes, a real one made of wood, or
They were made, they were made of wood, were they?
were they? Yes.
I don't know. No porcelain
It's too far,
tubs?
It's
I
too
don't
far
know.
back in time we didn't have
I have
this.
no idea.
But these guys, they have chosen to make it a
You've
little bit more
stumped
comfortable.
me again.
And they have made a former mortuary of a hospital.
Mortuary.
Mortuary of a hospital. They
Okay.
have made a former mortuary of a hospital to a bathroom.